how this session happened. So I had posted a video where I claimed factually that after all these years, thousands and thousands of years of existence of Ayurveda and about more than a decade of existence of the Ayush ministry, there has not been a single formulation that has been clinically approved or recommended by any clinical societies in India or otherwise globally, which has come from research point of view from Ayurveda. We can just go on talking about what the past has done. For example, I'm sure people will bring the example of Sarpagandha, which is Rasarpine and all that. That's all of no use now. Nobody uses all of that now. So let's leave the past in the past and talk about what current medical practice has in the context of these alternative medicine. Especially today, we are honored by the presence of Vaidya Omkar. He is the person who put forth the suggestion that we should have a conversation because he felt that we have some deficiency in looking from both sides, from a medical science perspective and also from an alternative medicine perspective. So I just would like to give the mic to Vaidya Omkar if he wants to start off with a few introductory lines for this session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abby, and thank you very much, Unitary Sep. I'm really honored and pleasured for giving me the opportunity to put forth my views, or rather, the views of Ayurveda and how we all can help in bringing wellness in the community. I would like to first place my point that this debate is not Ayurveda versus modern medicine, because neither me nor any of the Ayurvedic fellow or a practitioner, genuine Ayurvedic practitioner, basically wants that we should be working against each other. Rather, we want a symbiotic and coexistence of all the pathies or all the belief systems which can help together to bring wellness in the community. So let there be variety of options available for everyone which are genuine, scientific and definitely helpful for the society. So that's the only purpose why I asked Dr. Abby that let's have a discussion and let the best come out of this discussion. So that's it. Dr. Abby, if you want to add your points.
Yeah, I mean, let us take this discussion right from where you stopped. You mentioned that it's a discussion regarding how we can coexist. We, in the sense that how all the medical practices can coexist, and then you ended that particular sentence by saying we all have to do this in a scientific way. I mean, not just me, the scientific world. The medical science world does not consider Ayurveda to be scientific. It is a pseudoscience.
Yeah.
So how would you content this fact that how can something that is not scientific coexist with something that is actually scientific? Whatever has been said and done for the past 2,000, 3,000 years or whatever, Ayurveda has remained a pseudoscientific practice without any actually clinically beneficial outcomes within the patient community or in the preventive medicine community or the preventive medicine aspects. And this conversation regarding coexistence and all that is just philosophical. Let's get to the meat of the matter. Let's just stick to the medical aspect of this, the scientific aspect of it. So I want to know, how would you make Ayurveda an accessible and a scientific practice so that it can coexist with real medicine?
Okay. So the first statement what you commonly make and what the general scientific, so-called scientific community make is that Ayurveda is a pseudoscience. Now let's understand what exactly is the difference between a science and a pseudoscience. So your common argument is that the science is the one which can be tested and replicated and can be falsifiable. So, first and most important part about Ayurveda, one, it is absolutely not only herbal medicine that is Ayurveda. Okay, so only herbal medicine is not Ayurveda, only dietary restrictions is not Ayurveda, only lifestyle guidance is not Ayurveda. Ayurveda is itself a concept in totality which has their own scientific principles, and the whole science is built upon that. Like they have the principles of Tridosha theory, Dhatu theory, and the disease development is completely based on that. The medicines, herbal, polyherbal, herbo-mineral, all are based on that. One part. Secondly, Ayurveda never ever directly goes with any generalized approach. So it's a general assumption in people's mind that if it is herbal or if it is named to be Ayurveda, that means it is generalized and anyone and everyone can take it without any fear. It is not what Ayurveda ever says. Ayurveda is completely personalized and based on your needs, your disease condition, your causality, and your requirements. The treatment or management for that particular diseases starts right from removal of the causative factors, then ahara, that means diet, then lifestyle, and if at all required, the medication. So this is the overall pro forma of Ayurvedic treatment. Third point, which you said, that Ayurveda is not progressive and it cannot be tested. So it's again a myth. If you look at the history of Ayurveda, it started off 2000 years back, and there has been constant addition or deletion of some of the principles which are useful are added, and some of the principles which are not relevant for that particular time are removed. Then there has been constant addition of different herbs, their properties and their medicinal values whenever they were developed or they were experienced based on evidences. Never progressed or it is not progressing. Now also, if you look at last 50 years or so, Ayurveda has adopted all the modern technology. They have started using the modern technology by development of medicines, by diagnosis of diseases. They have started incorporating both the things together and bringing a system which can be helpful in current era. The whole principle, foundational principles are Ayurvedic, but they have always kept adding and deleting whichever are useful and whichever are not useful. So it is time tested, it is always evolved, and they have undergone rigorous trials also. I partly agree with the fact that they are not as big in number as the modern medicine is. There are multiple reasons to it, but yes, they have constantly been working on validating its efficacy and safety over the period through all the rigorous methodologies. So I don't think there is any point in always calling it as a pseudoscience, because all the principles can be tested by all means and they are open for testing by everyone.
Okay, lot to unpack here. I've made some points. First point is that you did not answer my question, and second point is that let us start with adding and deleting something that is useful and something that is not useful. Can you please tell me something in Ayurvedic practice or in the principles which has been added or deleted in the last 1000 or 2000 years, so that it is now clinically applicable and we are using it for our patients?
Yeah.
Just one example.
Yeah, I've answered that actually. So one thing, even if you look at the Samhita, basic Samhita, Charak, Sushruta and Vakvat, Charak Samhita mentioned a lot about doshas, and especially it mentioned only about Vata dosha, the different types of Vata dosha. In the next Samhitas, there were mention of additional doshas and their fundamentals also, or their differentiation into 5 different types. So that was Ayurvedic point of view addition, one. Secondly, Rasa Shastra, the metal and mineral preparations which are currently used in some of the Ayurvedic practices are evolved and are accepted in last 2000 years. So the development of Rasa Shastra is not from the Samhita period. Charak, Sushrut, Vakvat never mentioned metal and mineral preparations.
Yeah, could you please tell me an example of a herbo mineral which is currently accepted, approved, and currently in use, where it is found to be useful in any disease condition?
There are thousands.
Herbo mineral.
There are thousands of medicines. There is Arogya Vardhini.
No, just tell me what.
Arogya Vardhini, what is?
Arogya Vardhani is used for what?
It is used majorly for liver conditions.
Which liver condition?
Any sort of liver conditions where we, as per our principles, find that there is accumulation of Vata and Kapha dosha primarily, and its functioning is less, then we use that.
No, that is what you believe in, right? There is no science or evidence to it. So let me just give you a simple example. I have a patient who is coming with jaundice because of hepatitis B virus infection. And I have another patient who is coming with jaundice because of hepatitis A virus infection. How does Arogya Vardhani act equally in both? Because hepatitis B virus is a DNA virus and hepatitis A virus is an RNA virus. Both have different natural history of the disease. One can cause chronic liver damage and liver cancers. The other is self-limiting. How does Arogya Vardhani act in that?
Exactly. That's the problem. What exactly makes you all feel that Ayurveda is not scientific? See, you have made the diagnosis as per your system. When Ayurvedic treatment has to be given, the diagnosis has to be made as per Ayurvedic conditions.
So you mean that you will treat both with Arogyavardhini and other things that you see in Ayurveda, and basically the hepatitis
may
B
or may
virus.
not be. It solely depends whether
No,
it fits in our.
You have to make a choice.
It has to fit in our conditions. It has to fit in our.
So there is no your condition and our condition. No, hepatitis B is universal everywhere. There is no hepatitis B in the USA and hepatitis B in India.
Hepatitis B is universal, but do you see all the similar symptoms in each and every patient of hepatitis B? There has to be.
Yes, according to the natural history of disease, there are different kinds of presentations.
Exactly. That's what makes it different.
Yeah.
And
So
that's the difference.
exactly my point.
That's
So-
the difference what Ayurveda generally makes.
So how does Ayurveda diagnose acute liver failure due to hepatitis B versus a chronic cirrhotic liver because of hepatitis B or a decompensated liver disease because of hepatitis B?
Yeah. So the diagnosis is always made upon the history of the patient, where we identify which kind of dosha can be vitiated, could have been vitiated because of his faulty diet, lifestyle, or whatever those reasons may be.
So how do can you please explain that? How do you look for that specific dosha in acute liver failure versus the chronic liver failure?
So if it is acute liver failure because of any particular toxin or any kind
No,
of.
I'm talking about hepatitis B.
Okay. So in hepatitis B also, whenever, see, basically the difference you will have to understand that whenever we get infection of any sort, there are two things happening. One, that virus attacks your body, and second, your body is not able to handle that, deal with that. Now we looked at.
No, let's please come back to the question.
I'm coming.
How do you appreciate an acute liver failure? No. See, Vaidya, you are just diversing from the subject. We have no time. We are exactly 1 hour.
I'm not
Please
diversing.
be very specific to the
I'm
point.
not diversing. Please listen to me when I'm talking. So when we understand the disease, we understand what has gone wrong in the body and because of which this kind of situation has occurred. So we evaluate the patient based on the history, like certain lifestyle or dietary things can vitiate your vata dosha, certain things can vitiate your pitta, certain things can vitiate your kapha. Based on that, we make
I'm talking
analyze.
about hepatitis B.
Come on, sir. What I'm saying, please understand. Okay, you are.
No. You are not saying anything that is understandable. You are talking about vitiated pitta and kapha and whatever. You did not tell us how do you measure pitta, how do you measure vata, where is it, what is it. No idea. I'm just giving you direct diagnosis and how do you approach this.
Sir, your diagnosis.
And you're going on talking about some pseudoscientific principles that is mentioned in your textbooks, which is written 2000 years back. This is not a scientific discussion. I'm very sorry. Please.
If it is not a scientific discussion, then why are we talking about all these things?
Exactly. That is why the topic is needlessly trying to bridge the gap. Did you see the topic heading, the title we have given for this?
Exactly. If you don't allow me to speak, there is no point in discussion. Okay?
So whatever you are speaking is everything that we already read about. Vata, pitta, kapha, vitiation and whatnot. I'm giving you an exact scenario where we need you to treat this patient.
Yeah. So
what
we are treating those patients. We are treating those patients.
Fine. Let's just.
Yeah, there are thousands of patients.
Go directly.
There are thousands of patients who are being treated by that, and they are getting benefited. Part of them are getting benefited.
Yeah. So how does Arogyavardhini act in hepatitis B? How does Arogyavardhini act in hepatitis B? What is the mechanism of action? It's pure science question.
Through which mechanism you want?
No, you tell me. You have to know, no? Arogyavardhini's mechanism of action in hepatitis B related jaundice.
So from Ayurvedic point of view, all the ingredients, if you are interested in listening to Ayurvedic point of view, I'll tell you.
No, let's talk about the ingredients.
Yeah, there are many ingredients. One of the ingredients, major ingredients is kutki, which is Picrorhiza curo. Then there are Chitrakmula, Plumbago, there is Shilajit, there is neem leaf. So
so how do they act on hepatitis B virus?
Their major function is to stimulate liver function, to let the pitta flow properly, the bile flow properly, and improve its concentration, quality, and quantity, so that it stimulates your liver to deal with the infection probably. I am not sure, there are no studies done, to my understanding, which can talk in your language how it works on hepatitis.
Yeah, so basically you have no mechanism of action.
No, there is mechanism of action, but we have not studied that.
Yeah, if you have not studied it, then how do you have a mechanism of action?
Sir, there is mechanism of action as per Ayurveda. Why do you want to prove?
Yeah, so that action is not studied. That is what you believe in. You have not actually given me anything to prove that it acts on the hepatitis B virus. You just said that pitta will flow and the concentration will increase. Is that how you treat hepatitis B?
Yeah.
And I mean, really, I'm quite scared for the patients who go for hepatitis B treatment to Ayurveda. Do you know what happens if you don't treat acute liver failure because of hepatitis B or a cirrhotic liver because of hepatitis B? Patients can land in something known as decompensation.
Absolutely.
They come with blood vomiting, have ascites, and they can go into encephalopathy and die.
Just a minute, sir.
And you think Ayurveda can prevent all that?
I'm not saying that. See, in the beginning,
You are the one who said no. Ayurveda is given for liver disease.
it is given for liver disease. You have brought the point of acute liver failure. I'm constantly telling you,
Yeah.
it is completely based on the patient's situation and condition whether we want to give it or not. It is absolutely not a one-to-one situation association.
See, my situation is very clear. I'm talking about acute liver failure because of hepatitis B virus infection. There are different types of acute liver failure conditions. People can have acute liver failure because of hepatitis A also.
So,
Right. And because of any drugs also. Right. So how do you approach? I mean, you forget the approach. You said that Arogyavardhini can actually improve hepatitis B condition.
No, I never said that.
In a patient.
I never said that.
No, you said in the
No.
beginning it can help treat liver diseases. You said that. It's a recorded session by the Omkar.
Please.
It's a recorded
Please,
session.
please.
Arogyavardhini is used for what?
It is used majorly for liver conditions. I have said that can help, but it completely depends not in hepatitis B per se. It depends on the diagnosis based on Ayurvedic parameters. I have not created any
So if a
association.
hepatitis B patient comes to you and that I mean, see what we know is that what medical science has found out that is that hepatitis B virus infection has to be treated with antivirals.
Yeah.
So we have tenofovir, alafenamide, we have entecavir, we have some very new drugs in the pipeline which can help clear the virus, protect the liver, prevent further damage, and help patients from developing a lot of complications. Right. And in your case, you are just saying that you'll just look at diet, you'll just look at the mindfulness, and you'll just look at vata, pitta, kapha, which you don't know how to even measure, and you have not studied. You have no mechanism of action also. And I'm not sure how you're going to treat these patients when you say that you have treated thousands of them.
See, basically, please understand, we never treat any acute liver condition or any acute condition unless we have the evidence to treat it. If we have the evidence or we have the confidence that we can treat it, then only we take up the patient. Otherwise, it is always that we first advise the patient that please go ahead with whatever modern medicines you are taking. You can even ask your modern medicine doctor whether he can continue with these Ayurvedic medicines or not. If he does not agree, then kindly just restrict to your diet and lifestyle, what we are saying, and follow what we are doing. If they agree, we can work simultaneously in the integrative manner to help the patient to heal better.
No. So I'm confused.
Yeah.
I'm confused here. You are saying that Ayurveda is not pseudoscientific.
Absolutely
It is
not.
a very scientific practice. So why do you want to go and ask the modern medicine practitioner for any need to do anything for the patient? You can take care of the patient from the first time.
Absolutely. We can take, but if we do not have the evidence or confidence. That's what my statement was. There are certain doctors or Ayurveda practitioners, Vaidyas, who have the confidence and experience also in treating these kind of patients. They do take it. But it is not a generalized practice. In Ayurveda also, there are certain conditions where they have clearly mentioned that tatra tanvantaryanam adhikaraha means the surgeon or the relevant expert should be looked into this patient, and it is beyond your capacity. It is also mentioned clearly in Ayurveda. So it is not that each and every Ayurvedic doctor would take each and every patient.
Let's take 5 seconds. Let's take 5 seconds to read the title of our space and go back to the point where we started. That Ayurveda is basically trying to needlessly bridge the gap between science and Ayurveda. So if Ayurveda isn't pseudoscientific, how does it have the proofs, or how does it go ahead with the treatment if it even doesn't have a mechanism?
Yeah, I'll tell you how it can help. I'll tell you one example. There are multiple studies. If you go on Cochrane Library also, there are two major reviews on Cochrane where it has shown that how integrative medicine with Ayurveda in schizophrenia and diabetes have proven useful. Partially useful, the major studies, long run studies need to be done. That's what their inference is. One study was done especially on turmeric and Giloy. It was a study done in TB medicines. Patients receiving anti-tubercular medicines. It was a study done on around 400 patients. It was blinded study, and two groups are there: control group and the treatment group. For one group, anti-tubercular medicines and Ayurvedic medicines, turmeric and guduchi, were given to one group, and the second group received only anti-tubercular medicines. It was observed that in patients receiving both the medicines, Ayurvedic and anti-tubercular medicines, the incidence of hepatotoxicity was way lesser, and it did not hamper the efficacy of anti-tubercular medicines in negative way. So this is one of the examples where Ayurveda and this modern medicine can work together, where we know that there are certain limitations to modern medicines and it can be bridged by the inclusion of Ayurveda or any other pathy, I would say. Whichever is good can be integrated.
So this is a lot of word salad, because when we ask you a single question, you are answering it with so many unrelated things. But I just want to make a point about your Cochrane review about diabetes. I just looked it up, and what is exactly written here is that due to methodological deficiencies and small sample sizes, we were unable to draw any definitive conclusions regarding efficacy of herbal medicines. So what you just said now is absolute, you are just lying. There is no evidence of any use of any herbal medicines in diabetes. This is Cochrane review, and I've opened it in front of me. Right, so that is wrong. And regarding your Giloy, that is absolute nonsense, because there is no study which proves that Giloy is useful for any liver disease condition or any other disease condition per se, especially in tuberculosis. When we have shown that with the use of Giloy, about more than 200 cases of patients with severe autoimmune hepatitis has been reported from India alone. It's just, the way that confidently you people lie to the community regarding your pseudoscientific practices is applaudable. I must give it to you. See, but I understand why you have to do this, because it's your bread and butter. But let's be very, very, very truthful here. There is absolutely nothing that Ayurveda can offer in healthcare. No, absolutely nothing. And you have not proven it also. I asked you a simple question about a mechanism of action of an Ayurvedic drug, Ayurveda, and you just told us all the contents in it.
You asked me about
nothing more than that. No, I did not ask you. I just asked how does the ingredients work as a mechanism of action?
And I have told you that.
You still have time to answer that. You still have time to answer that. You said kutki, and you said so many other things, neem and something else there. How does it act in hepatitis B virus infection? No, you did not tell me.
I have told you as per Ayurveda.
You just said it helps the pitta flow. Yeah. The pitta flowing does not treat hepatitis B, sir. People will die.
Sir, this is a recorded session and people can always go back and listen to this.
Definitely. I am not denying with whatever statements I have made.
See, let us just bring a clean slate here, okay? Clean slate. You said that, and this is what every other Ayurveda says, that there are deficiencies in modern medicine practice. So let us fill those deficiencies with integrative medicine. See, the whole aspect is that modern medicine never says, or medical science never says that it is complete. It never. It is deficient, and the deficiencies will improve with further testing and further experimentation. Then old things will get thrown out the window and new things will come. That is how we bridge deficiencies, not by using a pseudoscientific practice like Ayurveda to fill that gap. See, there is no role of Ayurveda in management of any acute or chronic disease. You just mentioned a few minutes before that we won't treat any acute disease. Come on, the government of India and the Ministry of Ayush gave treatment guidelines for severe COVID. How do you explain that? How does any herb work in COVID? Simple question.
First and most important part is that I've been constantly telling you that how modern medicine looks towards a disease is completely different than how Ayurveda looks towards a disease.
Exactly, that is science and pseudoscience.
You call it anything, it hardly matters to me.
No, it's not what matters to you.
Exactly.
It is what it is. It is
whatever you
this
say.
This is not a debate or argument. No, this is a fact. You can just look on the web anywhere, any scientific, even your Ayurvedic practitioners who have stopped practicing Ayurveda, stopped practicing it because it is a pseudoscience, because they could not get any benefits in patients and they were just deceiving them. So let us not go there.
Sir,
let us go beyond
more
that.
than 10% of modern physicians quit their practice. Okay, this is a fact. Okay.
Where? Which where did you get this information from?
Look at all the pharmacovigilance people.
Pharmacovigilance is for drug adverse events.
Yeah, but that is not for
looking at
that is not a practice.
Doctor dropout.
That is doctor, not practicing.
do you know what pharmacovigilance is?
I've worked there as a drug safety physician for 2 years.
Yeah. So why does a pharmacovigilance has anything to do with doctors dropping out of practice?
They are not practicing. They are not practicing. They are completely
Because they are
doing their
using pharmacovigilance.
Exactly. So that doesn't mean modern medicine is bad. Similarly, if an Ayurvedic physician drops out Ayurveda and opts for any other field, that doesn't mean Ayurveda is fraudulent or Ayurveda is deceiving something or someone.
So how is Ayurveda not fraudulent then? Please tell me,
Ayurveda
because
is
you have not
absolutely
shown
not.
any evidence.
Sir,
No, that's because you're practicing
our
Ayurveda.
evidence,
It's a confirmation
sir,
by
our evidence is visible to patient, and that's why you can see there is increasing awareness and increasing accessibility and acknowledgement by whole
No,
population
forget about the
across the global.
accessibility. That is
Across
because
the
of
globe.
advertisements. Accessibility is because of advertisements and promotion, not because of evidence.
Sir, if there is no evidence, people would never go to any Ayurvedic physician. If they find that I'm deceiving them or I'm causing any kind of harm to them, they will never come to me. Okay. Still, if people
See,
are
you don't know
going,
what is happening in your practice. Okay, so let's not go
no, I'm
personally.
not going personally.
Let us not go
I'm
there.
giving you a random
Okay.
example. If Ayurveda is not working,
This is supposed to
if
be
Ayurveda
a
is,
scientific discussion.
this is supposed to be a scientific,
Right.
but
So
you
let
are
us-
going personal. That's why I'm giving you personal.
I think you only started talking about your practice and you're telling me I'm going personally. I'm telling you not to
Sir,
go
I'm
personally.
not talking my example. I am saying that I am giving an example that if any doctor is not treating the patient in the right way or not giving the result or causing any kind of harmful effect in any pathy, the patient will never go to him. If they feel that
What is
doctor
a pathy?
pathy means any
What is
system
a
of
pathy?
medicine. Okay.
No, that is not what pathy means.
Don't get into the verbal jargons. Okay. I'm
No, see,
using
because it is a scientific discussion, you have to use the right terms for
so
the
let it be
importance.
any
People should understand really.
any
There are a lot
medical
of people
system.
listening to this
Yes,
conversation.
it is any medical system. What I'm saying, it is any healthcare system
No,
which
pathy
is.
means, please check the dictionary. Pathy means denoting feelings. Okay? It is not any medical system.
I agree.
Right. So that is wrong. So this the term of allopathy and all that is
I've never
completely
used the
wrong. It is
word of
medical science and it is
allopathy.
Ayurvedic
I've never
science.
used the word allopathy. I have been using a modern system of medicine. I duly respect that. I duly respect all other systems of medicine.
See, it's not about respect,
Yeah.
right? It's about evidence.
Yeah.
So you have not provided any evidence. I think we have almost passed a half an hour here, and you have not shown any evidence where you can actually give us any good details regarding or convincing details regarding how Ayurveda works or Ayurveda is helpful in the current scenario. Everything that you have been saying is that Ayurveda has to be used along with modern medicine. You have to ask the permission of modern medicine doctors. They will take care of diet. Will take care of the pitta, vata. Come on, this is philosophy. Where is the science?
The first and most important part, I've been constantly saying every time that Ayurveda is based on its own scientific principles. If you want to understand how Ayurvedic medicines work, you have to understand the basic principles of Ayurveda.
Please. The basic principles are pseudo-scientific.
That is your perception and your view.
No, it's not my perception.
Prove
sir.
it. How they are
You have not
pseudoscientific.
proved anything. You have not proven us that it is not pseudoscience. You are just telling it is not, it is not. Just by saying lies multiple times does not make it a
That's
truth.
what I want to say.
Why is Ayurveda not a pseudoscience? Please tell us.
I have answered it in detail, and you were saying that it's a verbal salad. I have answered it completely in detail. I have told you that
Nothing.
Ayurveda is
You do not
constant.
answer anything.
See, Ayurveda is always being progressive. It has always evolved over the period, starting from Charak to till date. It has always evolved. It has also taken into consideration modern technology wherever there is required. So even in dosage formulation, everywhere. Okay. If it has not been evolved, then the question remains.
Sir, let's stick to how is Ayurveda scientific or pseudo-scientific? Like it's we agree that it's been progressive and it's been adding new samhitas to it. But let's stick to the point how Ayurveda is scientific or pseudo-scientific.
No, I just have a single question. He'll go back to Vata, Pitta, Kapha and Samhitas. That is not what I want. He's saying that, you are saying that Ayurveda has been progressive. So if it is so progressive, it's been almost 2000 years and it's so long it has been progressive. Tell me one drug or a formulation that is recommended by wholesomely by all clinical societies or any clinical society worldwide, in India or otherwise worldwide, for any disease condition from Ayurveda. Just one.
You mean recommendation or recommended means or approved means?
Approval recommendation for any disease condition as per clinical guidelines, where you said that Ayurveda can work with modern medicine. Where is it recommended? Which clinical guideline? Just one drug I need, just one herbal formulation or one traditional formulation.
I don't remember it often. May not be there. Or not there probably.
So does that mean Ayurveda is progressive?
It is progressive. I'm accepting.
So then why are we not seeing results?
That's what I'm saying. In the first statement itself, I've agreed that there has been some lacuna from Ayurvedic point of view, Ayurvedic physician point of view, that we did not conduct so many researches or full-length researches. There are multiple reasons to that, and that's why we are not
Exactly.
able. Huh?
So why are you not conducting multiple researches on Ayurveda when you have 3,000 crore rupees from the Ayush
Sir,
Ministry available every
Sir,
year?
3,000 crore rupees is this year's budget, which was increased to 20% this year. Okay.
Okay, make it 50 crore.
Okay.
Make it 50
So
crore.
if it is 50
Fine.
crore, if it is 50 crores, how do you expect in 50 crores a full-length drug to be developed? Okay. One.
It's not about developing, no. You already have your drugs
Yeah.
with you.
So-
You said you have
so
drugs
if-
like Aryogyavartini, Vilvadi and all.
To get it at
Nothing to develop here.
To get it approved from there are two reasons I'm telling you. One, first important reason is whenever you want to develop a drug, you have to pass it through all sorts of clinical trials. We all are aware of that. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. It requires whole lot of amount, whole lot of funding. That is there. Government cannot fund it completely, and private companies would not be interested in this because all the Ayurvedic literature comes under public domain, so they cannot patent that medicine, and that's why even the industries are not interested in developing that drug further. If they can sell the
No, this is utter nonsense.
This is
Come
the
on,
fact.
you're misleading the audience
This is
here.
the fact.
You're misleading the
This is
audience
the
here.
fact.
No, it is not
Yes.
the fact. Come on. This is not
This is absolutely
this is not the
fact.
right answer. You're misleading the audience.
Absolutely not.
You're saying that you have no money and nobody's interested in Ayurveda. Come on.
People
Can you
are
see the amount of Ayurvedic industry marketing going
I'm
on
not
here?
saying people are not interested. I'm saying no company is interested in conducting all these trials and spending so much of money if they are not getting the patent out of it.
It's not about patent.
Yeah.
Forget about patent. It's about a drug that can be approved and recommended for any disease condition. We started with that question.
Yeah.
You are going somewhere
No,
else.
there are three drugs which are developed by Ayush Ministry. However, their studies.
Tell us. Yeah, very good. Come on.
However,
Let
their
us know about
studies
this.
are not that great. They need to be studied further, and even all the Ayurvedic physicians would agree to that. And it needs to be studied further.
So you mean to say we need to wait another what, 1,000, 2,000 years?
No. Why? They need to be
Because we
studied
waited
further.
so long and we still don't have anything.
We have everything. Not every time you need to have a drug which is approved by US FDA. The only thing
No,
what
let us not go to US FDA. We are in India
Ah.
only. We can have a CDSO and all, looking at that. Let us not,
See,
take the name of US FDA to,
Okay. Or
in a different context. Okay. So let me just clear this air for the people who are listening here, the audience. I mean, this is just for them, not for Vaidya. The reason why Ayurvedic drugs or Ayurvedic formulation cannot be tested is because they are all prepared on the basis of Ayurvedic principles known as Tridosha theory. And these Tridosha theory is basically your old obsolete humoral theory known as this Kapha, Pitta and Vata and all that. And these are just philosophical theories. You cannot test it. You cannot make a hypothesis out of it. You cannot measure it, and you cannot do. You cannot actually find out any outcomes from these. So basically, the whole premise comes back to the initial saying that because Ayurveda is pseudoscientific, you cannot test it. And when you cannot test it, you will obviously not get any results or outcomes. Which is why, when I asked Vaidya the question that, tell me one formulation that has come out of Ayurvedic research since the last 2000 years, he could not even say a single drug name. So this confirms the fact that Ayurveda is pseudoscientific, but Vaidya will not agree with me because it is his practice and nobody is going to say that I'm a pseudoscientist. Right, so let us just leave it that. That's a personal opinion, but this is the fact.
sir, I've been constantly. Okay, leave it. Next, if you have any other question.
No, I mean, I have a lot of questions, but I think every time I ask a question, it's just going to get diverse. I mean, this is exactly why I wanted this session. Because see, I have been debating and arguing, and even very friendly, having friendly conversations with a lot of Ayurvedics. I mean, I have a lot of friends in the Ayurvedic circles, and this has been going on since last 6 or 7 years. And what I have been facing and experiencing from the Ayurvedic community when it comes to a scientific debate 6 years back, it is still the same even now. And why the Omkar is just the prototype of it. I mean, he talks about the same things because Ayurveda is a kind of indoctrination. People are made to believe that these things that has written about 2000 years back has some value even now. Of course, it has value. It has great value in the history of medicine, right? But it has no current value in healthcare. But there is another value for Ayurveda, and I'm not actually rejecting this part. There is good value, and that value is in the business of healthcare. So if you want to run a good business, if you want to have a good business, make money out of it, just market a product and write Ayurveda formulation on it, or become an Ayurvedic practitioner, start an Instagram channel, and then market your products for skin and healthcare and stuff like that. But when it comes to the real treating patients, like what I said about hepatitis B, or what I talk about actual diabetes, management of diabetes related complications, tuberculosis, malaria, dengue, all these, and vaccine preventable diseases. I mean, it has to be from medical science point of view. Your vata, pitta, kapha does not cut it.
And what?
It's plain simple.
And what about non-communicable diseases?
Of course, there are medical guidelines from evidence-based medicine for non-communicable diseases. There are clinical societies dealing with it. Please look at the American Diabetes Association, the Indian Diabetes Association, the Indian Society of Gastroenterology, the Critical Care Society of India. Everybody has everything set up from evidence point of view for communicable as well as non-communicable.
Okay. So if there are so many guidelines and so many drugs developed, why hasn't ever these non-communicable diseases been eradicated? Whenever you talk about eradication of diseases or whenever you talk about modern medicine, you only talk about antibiotics, antivirals, and vaccines. Why still diabetes is there? Why even after the advent of statins, the cardiovascular disease incidence has increased? Why it has not been controlled?
Do you know what eradication means?
No, whatever. Eradication, you have eradicated polio, you have eradicated malaria a long time back. It is still there, let's accept that. Okay. But whenever you are...
Who eradicated malaria when?
There was a statement that we have eradicated malaria, but it came back.
Where? Who stated?
Where?
I mean, see, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Please show us the link where it has been written. And okay, so when I asked you what eradication means, you basically told me infectious diseases, right? So using that term in a non-communicable disease itself is wrong. You are biased when it comes to using that, which means you don't know anything about non-communicable diseases, what the natural history is, why they are here, what is the causative factors, which is why you are using that term eradication wrongly. You can't use that term for a non-communicable disease. You can't say, we will eradicate diabetes. The only way we can eradicate diabetes is to eradicate humanity, right? So that is not right.
Why diabetes is still not under control and why the incidence of diabetes, cardiovascular disorders, thyroid is constantly increasing even after advent of so many drugs? That's what my question is.
Do you think the population is receding or increasing? The number of people living in the world?
But what about the percentage? I don't think it matters.
You answer my question.
It doesn't matter whether the number is increasing. Ultimately, it boils down to percentage. How many people?
So when to simply answer your question, so when Ayurveda and these ancient traditional practices were in use about centuries ago, the life expectancy of people in India were somewhere in their 20s. People used to die in the 20s and 30s.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. Now listen to me. So now after that, modern medicine, science, scientific methodology, all these came up, and people started living to 70s and 80s. Right. That is when we figured out that the older you become, you will get to see more and more different types of diseases that happens as people age. And when the number of people increase and the number of people who survive, the life expectancy increases, these also increase. It has nothing to do with medical science. So please don't bring that argument again here. It's wrong.
Sir, statins were invented for management of hypercholesteremia, triglyceride issues. and also it was supposed to prevent cardiovascular diseases. Am I correct in my statement?
Yes, you are.
So now, even after around 20 years of its pronounced use, by the it is still not under control. That's what my question.
Boss, you don't understand.
Act-
Boss, you don't understand. Use of statins has improved cardiovascular outcomes so that people are living longer. Right. People are living much longer than before because of these medications. So everything is under control. Nothing is out of control. I don't know why you're using the term control and all that now, because everything seems to be under control. There is no problem there. There are large meta-analytical reports showing that when people should use statins and how it is going to benefit them. The data is there. You could not even give me mechanism of action, a single drug which I asked.
Okay, just there is a statement by British Medical Journal. Okay, they equated 15 more incidences of muscle symptoms, 8 more of liver events, 12 more of kidney events, and 14 more of eye conditions per 10,000 patients treated for a year. And statins were estimated to prevent only 19 heart attacks, 9 strokes, and 8 deaths from cardiovascular diseases per 10,000 patients treated for a year.
Yeah, so
Okay?
if you have finished reading your Google page,
No.
I don't understand why you're bringing this point here.
So my
Does this
question.
make Ayurveda scientific?
No, I am saying that
You trying to demonize statins, does it make Ayurveda any better?
I'm
We are supposed
absolutely
to talk
not.
for
I'm not
Ayurveda,
here
not talk from
to
medical science
see.
point of
I'm
view.
not here to demean modern medicine. What I mean to say is,
You can't do that. You can't demean modern medicine
okay,
anyways.
I don't even have any interest. Okay, what I'm saying is there is definitely a need of any alternative or complementary or supplementary or traditional medicinal systems which can ultimately help benefit people. Okay,
So tell us a formulation like that. Tell us a formulation that we can use in our daily practice for patients with diabetes or hypercholesteremia, for patients with heart attacks we can prevent. Tell us an Ayurvedic formulation which is tested and recommended. We'll use it.
yeah. So even your Himalaya D52 is pretty good in managing. That Abana is good.
Come on. Himalaya is not even real Ayurveda.
I know, but
Please.
their herb.
That's a really nonsense private Ayurvedic company made proprietary product. And you are talking about them? Come on. I did not expect this from you. I thought you were a traditional classical Ayurvedic practitioner.
But how would you understand if I talk to you in classical Ayurvedic formulations? Would you be able to
Listen,
understand?
Live 52. Let me talk about Live 52 now because you brought it
Yeah.
up. Live 52 was studied in a randomized controlled double-blind study in 1997 by Professor Flake in the US in a multi-center cohort study. Okay, in patients with liver disease, and the study showed that patients with advanced liver disease, if they consume Live 52, they died more. And in patients who did not have advanced liver disease, Leaf 52 did not do anything. It was like placebo only. But because they were killing more patients with Leaf 52 in patients with cirrhosis, the US FDA banned the product in the US, and now it is known as liver care there, where there are more and more lesser number of ingredients being used than in India. So that is Leaf 52 for you. And everything from Leaf 52, the company that has published and presented, is from the manufacturer themselves. I have written exhaustively on this product, so let us not talk about Li52 ever again. If you have some other formulation that you can tell us, which we can use for diabetes or prevention of heart disease or strokes, please tell us.
For diabetes, there is one Dhatri Nisha Yog, which is Amalaki, means Terminalia cebula, and Haridra. It's a simple two herb formulation which can be used.
So how does it work in diabetes? And where are the studies of it? Can you please tell us the link so that we can check it right now?
I will just.
Mechanism of action, efficacy and safety. That's what we look at, right? When you have a drug, I mean, you worked in pharmacovigilance and drug industry, so you know this. So where are the studies on efficacy and safety and pharmacovigilance data on this particular formulation that you have mentioned now?
There are 2, 3 studies I can say. I will share it to you if you want.
No, you can tell us right now. Who is the author? The first author? What is the formulation? Please tell me. I can check it for you.
Dhatri Nishavati.
So when I am typing in Dhatri Nishavati on PubMed, I'm not getting anything in diabetes, right? So they have just mentioned just one study where they have mentioned that clinical trial of indigenous compound drug Nishamlaki
Yeah, that's the same.
in diabetes
That's
mellitus.
the same.
Yeah. So in that particular study, there was just 25 people, and they were just followed for fortnightly, and they just said that there is improvement in symptoms. So that is not level 1, 2, 3 evidence. That is hardly level 4 evidence. So that does not make it any effective. Any other studies that you have? Because I can't find anything anymore.
All the studies are not by heart to me, sir. Even I
No,
need.
it is. I mean,
I
see
can
when
explain
I
you
say that.
how it can work by Ayurvedic ways. If you want, I can share it with you by finding that.
No, no. See, we are not here for a pseudoscience class, right? We
Then
are
leave
here to
it.
look at scientific evidence
Yeah.
where we can use something from alternative medicine industry in our day-to-day practice, which you have not given us almost an hour now. Yeah. So ultimately, the discussion again points down to we don't have any drug since last 2000 years which can be even used for a simple thing like fever from Ayurveda. Forget a disease. Something in Ayurveda that can reduce fever, mechanism of action, safety, efficacy, at least a pilot trial. Nothing. And we are talking about treating patients with liver disease in Ayurveda. Can you imagine this? Just imagine how many people are getting misled because of your promotions and your advertisements and whatnot. And there is a whole state machinery to support people like you. This is just crazy. This is why this country is banana republic.
We are moving towards the closure of our space. So this will be the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, so I just want to end my statements with this almost an hour-long discussion, which I knew exactly will end like this, where we don't have any evidence from alternative medicine. I mean, just forget Ayurveda just alone. I mean, you look at the whole Ayush, right? Ayurveda, naturopathy, Siddha, Unani, homeopathy, which is the biggest joke of all of that. We have nothing from this particular huge industry that is thriving in India. We have just a lot of beliefs, faith-based medicine that is happening, and that is being enforced onto the minds of people. People are getting indoctrinated because of health, because of extensive promotion, unscientific promotion from every angle, and because of which people are so confused about what to go for healthcare. And nothing personal with to Vaidya Omkar, but a lot of Vaidyas, on the social media are misleading people with things that don't work. For example, he just spoke about Giloy. If somebody does not know about Giloy, they will go and have Giloy and land up in trouble because we have studied Giloy in our papers, and it's a nationwide paper which included 13 hospitals which showed that Giloy can harm the liver and cause severe autoimmune hepatitis. It can lead to death in 15% of patients. And there is no proof that Giloy is useful for anything. And it has been promoted for COVID, and now a new pandemic will come, it will be there also. No doubt about it. Right. So these things need to be known. See, the whole aspect of doing this particular discussion is that people must be informed about right healthcare choices. And it is not alternative medicine. See, alternative medicine that works is called medicine. Very famous statement, right? And what we have is scientific medicine. Of course, scientific medicine has its lot of deficiencies, like Vaidya Omkar said, but it is improving. It is improving. It corrects itself. It accepts errors, unlike Ayurveda and other streams, where set practices and beliefs are taken from 2000 years and still practiced now, harming the people. So what I would like to end with this is that please follow evidence-based medicine. Please look at scientific practices where there is evidence that you yourself can look at. It's so easy. Medical science is so easy because the evidence is there. I mean, you want to know the side effects of a drug, you just have to put in Google and you'll get it. But if you want to look at a side effect of an Ayurvedic formulation, on the formulation it will be written safe to consume. Natural, herbal, and safe. So this is the kind of differences that we live with. So please be well informed regarding your health choices and always appreciate evidence-based practices in healthcare because that is what is going to be beneficial for you. So these are my words. If somebody wants to add to this, please do.
Okay, I'll just add my points, my closure statement. Basically, for everyone who is listening, please remember that Ayurveda is a system of medicine which is proven for 2000s of years. It is 100% evidence based. If you feel that whatever Ayurvedic practitioners are doing is good for you, please go ahead, it's not always only if the paper is published in a research journal that means the science is correct. Okay, there are number of incidences where the research papers are flawed, fraudulent, and they have been taken back, retracted. Many drugs, even after phase four, for all four phases of clinical trials, they get into the market, work for 12, 10, 12 years, and then banned. But over those 10, 12 years, whatever damage they cause to your body, that remains there for generations. Okay? So if you feel that you can trust the tradition and evidences of people who have been taking the medicines for so long, please go ahead, make your own choice. There is no compulsion that you should go to allopathy or modern medicine or Ayurveda or homeopathy, whichever system of medicine you feel comfortable with. Please go ahead. That's it. We can end this now.
Yeah, no, we cannot end this now because you just fear-mongered all the audience here on something known as chemophobia. Vaidya Omkar, I will not let you do that.
What did I do?
Right, I will not let you do that. So, what you have just said now, Ayurveda is an evidence based practice. You have not proven anything. It is not an evidence based practice, number one. Number two, there are modern medicines that have been evidence based and has been used since decades and decades without any issues. Everything is chemicals. Do you think that Ayurvedic herbals are natural and there are nothing chemical in it? It's all plant chemicals that can harm. So everything is chemicals. There is nothing known as modern medicines that are synthetic and no, and they are the only ones that are chemical. This fear mongering has to stop. This is chemophobia. You can't just end a session by fear mongering the audience here. I will not allow it. And whatever you have said is, I repeat, complete lies and deceit. You cannot fraud people like this with your statements. I'm ending the session now. Let us close. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And thanks, Vaidya Omkar and Liver Doctor, for hosting this session. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.